When I start my presentations, I say, some of you may think I am old, but in my mind, I don't think I am old. And when it comes to reading, I am bold, or so I am told. And perhaps I am bold because I know more people need to be told. And thank you for letting me tell some more people, all of you. I'm John Corcoran. Started learning to read at the age of 48 in the public library. A volunteer tutor helped me break the code, got me to about the 6th grade level. And my life was on the journey to full literacy. And I went up to San Luis Obispo and met Pat Lindemood, and a pioneer in the field of reading. And she got me to about the 12th grade level in about 125 hours, and I thought I died and went to heaven. Most adults that have difficulties learning how to read think that something's wrong with our brain, and we can't learn to read, like my fellow traveler and friend, Gordon. We're adults. We come from every place, but we have a common bond, is that we have felt the pain and the humiliation and the frustration of not being able to do something in our culture, in our society, that children can do. In a way, we're suspended, Gordon and I, in our childhood. We have some unfinished business, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually, intellectually. And America has underestimated the power and the importance and how much damage it has done to the individuals that have passed through the system or got into adulthood without the basic skills. In America today, we're the fastest growing subculture in America. About 44% of the adults, I said 44% of the adults in America are reading below elementary level. And we can't really actualize, and we can't really be successful. Even somebody like John Corcoran, we may have street smarts, but if you don't have book smarts, and by the time you get to the 3rd grade, if you don't know how to read, write, and spell, there's no way you can succeed in school. So in America today, when we're talking about educational reform, we must talk about breaking the cycle of failure. And that is not teaching our children and our adults to read. It is as important today to teach an adult like Gordon and myself to read as it is to teach a child. And I know that sounds bold, but that's the reality. And it's never too late to learn to read. We have, because in America we have an epidemic, and we carry the shame and we carry the blame. And we bought into a big lie that we can't learn to read. And you're going to meet some people also on this tape that are going to tell you that we can learn to read. We can learn to read with proper instruction. And the key to teaching people like Gordon and I how to read, write, and spell is proper instruction. Proper instruction comes from properly trained teachers, and properly trained teachers come from universities that properly prepare them. In my childhood, I went to school just like millions of children go every year, with high hopes to learn to read. For the first 6 years of my life, in my home, my mother and father, my loving mother and father, told me I was a winner. By the time I got to the 3rd grade, I ended up in the dumb row because I was not able to keep up with the class when it came to reading. I had math skills, I had social skills, I behaved myself, but I couldn't read, and I just couldn't get it. And so I found myself at 8 years old as a loser, and my mother and father told me for 6 years I was a winner, and at 8 I was a loser. And that's the way we feel if we can't read the printed page, because the printed page is the dominant language of for success in the school place. And today in America, it's also the dominant language for success in the workplace. One of the things I was lucky, when I was a child, I was told I was a winner. So I kind of had this little idea that there was a part of my brain that, hey, I'm a winner. And that never did go away in reality. Even when I went into the hostile territory and they sent me other messages, and then I acted crazy, you know, I disrupted my own education when I was in middle school. Because when you're a teenager, you're confused about a lot of things. But if you're smart and you can't succeed and your parents are saying, you know, things to you. It was athletics, but I also got tired of embarrassing my parents. They were coming to school all the time. By the time I got into 7th grade, they were not talking about my deficiency in reading. They were talking about, you know, this kid might need some psychiatric help. I mean, he's crazy. And my behavior, you know, I tried everything. Class clown, you know, and I can remember one time and because I was able to get along with people, you know, I never did. This is what really helped me a lot. I never did get mad at smart kids. You know, I always was their friend. I made friends with them. It's like they were my library, you know. And a lot of kids that are outlaws, pushed out, you know, I would rather be by myself than be with an outlaw. I felt like one, but I was like one person, you know, and I was trying to figure out, you know, not necessarily consciously, but subconsciously. I think that what my parents told me, that I believe that, you know, that I was a winner, and I don't know why. I don't know when I'm going to start winning here, you know, but right now I'm losing all the time. And I ran around with college prep kids and dated the valedictorian and never would accept friends that would get me in trouble. I didn't get in trouble with the law, you know. I got in trouble at school all the time. I mean, I was so defiant at school and so angry, but cool enough not to be, you know, I always knew the margin, you know. I always felt like I was just in a hostile environment all the time. That's why it's such an urgency. America needs to wake up and articulate the problem. And the problem in education, the basic fundamental problem in education and any hope for educational reform is breaking the cycle of illiteracy in America and the deficiencies on the part. There are some heroes. We have done a lot and we are working on it. And there are millions of people that have tried 1,001 different ways, but we have the research now that tells us we can break this cycle. And what do we lack? Why aren't we doing it? Why have I been an advocate for 25 years now? Why hasn't America acted? It's probably because they just do not have the political will to articulate the problem, and they don't have the social will to break the code here. People ask me what my story is. I have to tell them that there were a lot of different stages. When I was an innocent child, I went to school with high hopes. I was hopeful, and all children that go to school are hopeful, no matter where they come from. They're hopeful and they're innocent. By the time I got to the 5th grade, I was a dropout in a sense. I didn't drop out of school, but I certainly was an outsider, and I was alienated from the dominant school place. I hated being inside the schoolroom. I felt like a failure. I was suspended. I was expelled. I sat in the 7th grade. I sat in front of the principal's office most of my 7th year in school. I spit on a teacher. I was angry. I refer to that period of my life as a native alien and really an outlaw, an outcast, and I didn't know what to do. And sometimes people ask me, why didn't you ask for help? Well, little boys, children do not have to ask adults for specific help. That wasn't my responsibility. By the time I got to be a teenager, I was just too angry. And I gave up on myself, and I gave up on the system, and I gave up on teachers. And you can see little boys in middle school right now, today, by the millions in our school systems, just like John Corcoran. So nothing has really changed. We just really haven't fessed up, and it's really a huge invisible in a way. We keep it invisible. We keep the secret, and the nation has kept the secret. We keep it secret. Personally, I never told anybody. My wife was the only person that knew I couldn't read until I was 48 years old, when I told the director of the library program, the reading program, that I couldn't read. That was the first time. It was a guarded secret. It was embarrassing. It was shame-based, so we don't wear it on our sleeves. And when we're adults, why don't we ask for help? Well, where is the help? That's number one. And then the other thing is we bought into the big lie that keeps us from asking for help, because we think something's wrong with us. Something is wrong with us. In reality, the key is proper instruction. And it's never too late to learn to read. And that's part why I say, let's don't give up on the adults. And you prevent adult illiteracy by teaching children. But you also have to eradicate it. It's in our best interest in this country. And when we look at the court system and the judicial system, 85% of the kids that are facing juvenile judges in the state of California have deficiencies in the basic skills. 50–60% of the people that we have locked up, incarcerated in our prisons in America, have deficiencies in the basic skills. Those are clues. And you look at poverty, undereducated, uneducated, dropout rates. Dropout rates are so embarrassing and so insulting to this great nation. A nation that sends a rocket to Mars with a camera and sends pictures back, can't teach its children how to read. That is unjustified, and it's unjustified for us to perpetuate this illiteracy in this country. We have a promise in America that there is equal opportunity for everyone, and there is no equal opportunity for anyone in the schoolhouse or in the workplace that's reading at the elementary or below elementary level in today's world. That's a fact. And the good news, this is not anything controversial. This is not bilingual education. This is not sex education. This is a basic fundamental right and duty. We are a culture that does love education, and you cannot have an education without those basic skills. I, in my wildest dream, never thought I'd ever learn to read, and most adults don't think we're going to be able to learn to read. And I will be forever beholden to my volunteer tutor and to Pat Lindemood for breaking that darkness for me and giving me an opportunity to learn more and to be here. And I'm also obligated to invite America to join me. Let's do it. We can break this cycle. When I decided in about the 8th grade that it was in my best interest to behave myself, I had some athletic skills, and I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to be able to get on the field. Well, you can't get on the field when you get thrown out of class or you're disrespectful. And sometimes people ask me how I got through high school. Well, if you behaved yourself, you could get through high school. So I put on my best social skills and I behaved myself, and I think they called it kissing up or being a teacher's pet or whatever it was to get through high school. I cheated. People ask me where my family was. Well, in elementary school, they were meeting with the teacher, and the teacher said, "Oh, he's a smart boy, he'll get it. Some people just get it a little late." Well, I didn't get it. People like me don't get it without direct instruction. But about 25% of the population is like Gordon and I. You know, we have to have direct instruction. We have to have proper instruction. It's hard work for us, but the good news is that we can get it. And it's hard work to teach people like me too. This is not something that's really easy for us to do. But if we make up our mind to do it, it's something that we can do. And we can do this individually, and we can do this collectively. And we're talking about my oral language skills have improved since I've learned to read. So and what is talking? I mean, it's community. And I feel like I'm a full citizen now. I belong. My fellow travelers, my brothers and sisters, I can sit down with Gordon. We can have this same conversation about how we felt, and how we struggled, and how we wished, and how we prayed. I can remember praying in the 8th grade that, you know, I get in bed and I said, please, Lord, tomorrow when it's my turn to read, please let the words come out. And then I'd get up and turn on the light and I'd get a book and I'd try to read it and see if I got one of those Zapper miracles, you know. And I didn't get that Zapper miracle, but I did get a miracle worker in my volunteer tutor. And I guess I'll do a little plug for volunteer tutors. If you're thinking about volunteering to tutor someone to read, do it. You save lives and you change lives. Right now, today, we have a dropout rate. We've covered it up for a long time. We've hid the numbers. Numbers. Do you know that if today, this year, 30% of the kids that started school, first graders that started school, 30% of them are going to drop out, and that is a huge number. If you happen to be African American, it's 50%. 50%. And if you happen to be Hispanic, 54%. We have to act. We can't keep, and we get the headlines. Detroit, 47% are functionally illiterate. Functionally illiterate means they read at elementary grade level. It means they can't really read. I mean, no one, no matter how clever or smart, can maximize their fullest potential in America. And that is horrendous for an individual to be faced with, and it's also horrendous for this country. And those headlines, they come and they go. It's not sexy. It's not romantic. You can read these statistics and you'll be shocked for 24 hours, and then the public sort of lets it go away. They let it go away. They're in denial. They're embarrassed, just like I was. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know really that we're a third world country when it comes to reading. I mean, when we're talking about 44% of our adults, and we look at the numbers of children that are behind, I mean, how long is it going to be? It's not going to be very much longer if we don't break this cycle. And 20 years ago, when I was in the program, we haven't cut that gap. It's still growing. We have more adults that can't read today than we did over the last 20 or 25 years. With all those headlines, we still haven't acted. We haven't acted. When are we going to do it, America? Then, after I learned to read, I applied both my teaching experience and my business experience, and I created the John Corcoran Foundation, a nonprofit organization, and it was really more for the awareness. You know, I was going to do the awareness. I've written a couple books, and I've been on national television. For somebody that never said anything, I've actually had the opportunity probably to talk to 300 million people via television, Larry King, via Oprah. So I've really had an opportunity to share that story. And I've also, the foundation now, last year we tutored about 800 Title I school kids that are behind in their reading online. And we also, the foundation, if the students that signed up for our program through Colorado school districts and in California, if they sign up, we give them a computer, we put it in their house, we create a little learning center. For the most part, these people have never had this technology before. We provide 3 months of online service. We pay that for them, and they get to keep the computer. And like I said, we bring in technology to the households for the first time, and we're also teaching basic skills. And our little pilot there is a clear message of what we can do. We can do things. And I'm very pleased of what we have been able to deliver, and I just wish some other people could see that, because it's really a partnership with technology. And I remember one time I was going in Soledad, and I heard the warden, the guy that was taking me in, he says, "Oh, yeah, this guy's really going to relate to them." And I walked in there, and within 5 minutes after I started telling my story, I know we're fellow travelers. And illiteracy, they don't have any color line there, you know. And I used to think it was just guys, but it's also equal number of women that have difficulty, you know. I saw a man that was in prison, that was reading at just learning how to read at the 3rd grade level, weep like a baby, because he was reading at the 3rd grade level. He just learned how to read at the 3rd grade level. And that's why I'm saying I wish people could see how painful it is to the individuals. And yeah, we could get real angry at that, you know. And like I said, I unintentionally disrupted other people's education, because you go look at who's causing trouble in school right now. I guarantee they're not reading at grade level. When you go to school and you're reading, it makes you smart. And when people think you're smart, you know, you really move. But when they think you're dumb, and then you think you're dumb, you start acting dumb, and then you start pushing the wrong things. We do want to learn to read. We really do. And you know, we've felt so abnormal all our lives because we couldn't do something a 3rd grader could do, and that's read the printed page. And not only do I know how to read, but I also got to deal with the healing of all the real and imagined emotional issues that I had. When I was interviewed on Oprah asked me, what was the difference between being literate and knowing how to read and not knowing how to read? And I said, you know, I think, and I never said this, I never thought it. She asked me, that's the first time I ever said it, is that I think learning to read has filled a big hole in my soul. And I think if we teach America, children and adults, how to read, we're going to fill a big hole in America's soul also. And also, we are going to be part of the economic recovery in America if we teach people how to read, because you can't get on the information highway if you can't read. You can't use the technology. And I think we all know that's the world where we live now.